Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 269. What could go wrong by not vetting? Welcome everyone to the JP8 Report. Long weekend. Feels like forever since I've done a podcast, but so it's Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Been 5 days. 5 days. Well, thank y'all everyone for tuning in as we get started today. Don't forget to click that follow button if you are not already a follower of the JP8 Report. I have 99 followers. I'm still looking for number 100, and we can exponentially go from there. But I'd like to be at triple digits sometime this week. That would be great. Today would be awesome. So if you have not already clicked that follow button, it's free, and then click that like button, please. And if you can, share. Okay. I simulcast through Facebook and X. I'm trying to get it to where I can go to ScrewTube. You need 50 subscribers on YouTube to be able to live stream, but I checked the other day. I'm at 13. So we'll see. Man, I got squiggly lines on my mobile devices right now. I'm pretty sure I'm out there. So don't forget to do that. So let's see, America 250 moment this day, 1st of December 1775. In Quebec, Richard Montgomery, and Colonel Benedict Arnold combined their forces at Point aux Trembles outside of Quebec City and began a siege for the battle that would happen later on this month. So that is all I could really find on this day for December 1st. That's all right. I mean, I was thinking about it just a few minutes ago, and there was hold on just a second here. Let me check this out real quick. Yeah, I was checking, and it's still spinning. Okay. Maybe it's just right here on this server. Okay. So, so I was thinking General Washington led U.S. forces throughout the rest of 1775 and part of 1781. So you had all of 76, 77, 78, 79, and 1780. So the American Revolution almost lasted 6 complete years. Because it ended, no, it did last 6 years. That's a long time to fight a war. But it happens. So let me check one thing over here. I am live. Okay, cool. All right. Just something with my stuff here. All right. So that's the America 250 moment for the day. I'm sure it'll accelerate tomorrow. Advance my slide. Come on. Oh, go back there. Stop. Okay, there. So now we got to talk about the Dalmatians. Dalmatian Texas burgers. They're homemade smash burgers and hot dogs here in Copper's Cove. All their ingredients are homemade, including their buns, and they're open 11 to 2 and 5:30 to 7 unless they sell out. Tuesday through Saturday, which means they're closed today, and they're on the west side of Copper's Cove, behind Bush's Chicken. And my favorite is the Armadillo Burger. And if you notice, their prices are the same no matter which type of burger you get, unless you get some add-ons and stuff. But yeah, $6.50 for Armadillo is really good. All right. So that is the Dalmatian, guys. So before I get started on the day's news, we just got back from eating breakfast a while ago. It's our 32nd anniversary. She's in the back room right now sewing, so she's not out here. So we were married 32 years ago today in Wichita Falls, and this is us back then. This is us now. She stayed the same. I got older. All right. So we're going to go Red Lobster later on for our anniversary. But yeah, we had fun this morning. We went to a place called Jimmy's Egg in Killeen and had breakfast. All right. So onward to the JP8 report. Let me advance this. There we go. So when everything got started up on Wednesday, I did my JP8 report. I thought I was doing good, signed off, and the world went and exploded on us. They in Washington, D.C., you had the Army specialists and the Air Force staff sergeant. They got shot in Washington, D.C. while they were doing a presence patrol, trying to keep the streets safe in Washington. And some radicalized Islamic guy from Afghanistan that wasn't even vetted to come into our country drove all the way across our country, over 3,000 miles. I don't know how he got the money. And he had a 357 revolver and shot specialist Sarah Beckstrom, an MP, a military police officer. She was 20 years old, and she died. It's a loss of words to say it. It's ridiculous. My wife, when she was in the Army, was a military policeman. All right, and this young soldier been in the Army Reserve or the Army National Guard for a couple years. Guess just made her specialist, her E4, and lost her life in Washington, D.C., a place where she didn't even live, and she volunteered to serve there. Ridiculous. But yeah, like I say, my wife was a military policeman, like this young lady was. Had a whole life ahead of her. And the Air National Guard guy, his name is Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, and as of this morning, he was in critical condition still, and he was slowly responding. So, because I just heard the governor of West Virginia give a briefing on that. But he drove across the United States. This guy, his name is Romula Lukenwall, 29 years old. He worked with the CIA for and the U.S. Army Special Forces for 10 years, right? So it means pretty much when he was an adolescent, about 15 years old, and when Afghanistan fell to the Taliban, they let him come to the United States without all the background checks and everything else. I know they've been checking them one by one, but they said there was 800, and I think they said there was like 850 that still needed to be completely vetted. But they should have been vetted before they were allowed in the United States. With the history of Islamic terrorism in our country, there should be no reason why someone unvetted come into our country as it is. But they did. Let's see. I'd like to know where he got the money to go from Washington, from Seattle area, all the way to Washington, D.C., and also through San Diego, California. The guy was married with 5 kids, and there was, I guess he didn't really have a job, but like I told my wife the other day, if I disappeared for 2 weeks, would you be concerned? Because evidently, hardly anyone said anything about him being gone. That and I got a couple of things I want to read here that I took from the New York Post and from True Social. Okay, It says refugee group was warned that D.C. shooting suspect Rubanallah Lachenwall was spiraling into mania, and he got asylum anyway. Hold on just a second. Okay. A leading national refugee agency was warned multiple times that the Afghan terror suspect accused of murdering one National Guard member and critically injuring another was spiraling into mania and mental illness beginning in 2023. That's almost 3 years ago. You'd say 2.5 years ago, right? According to a bombshell email leak. Despite this and an alleged failure to maintain his mandated contact with state, we're talking Washington State, social services, he still managed to win asylum in April of this year. This is right after the change of administration. Rumanallah Lachenwall's behavior was so disturbing that a local community advocate reached out to a refugee organization for help, according to emails to the U.S. Committee on Refugees and Immigrants. And it was told to the Associated Press. Rumanallah has not been functional as a person, father, and provider since March of last year, which was 2023. He quit his job that month, and his behavior has greatly changed, the community member wrote in January 2024. The community member said he feared for that Lachenwall had become suicidal. The 29-year-old Afghan refugee who worked for the CIA-backed Zero unit in the Afghan army has been charged with first-degree murder over the death of West Virginia National Guard Specialist Sarah Beckstrom in the shooting of Sergeant Wolf. He was brought into the U.S. in 2021 under Operation Allies Welcome, moving to Bellingham, Washington, with his wife and their 5 young sons. But he reportedly struggled to assimilate, failed to hold down a steady job, or commit to learning English, according to emails. Alternating between periods of dark isolation and reckless travel, Lachenwall sometimes spent weeks in his darkened room, not speaking to anyone, not his wife or older kids. He wrote the person. That's into that first one. Question is, if he was so unemployed, where was he getting his money from besides getting government assistance probably? Who was supplying the funds? Because, take the cost of gas, 3,000 miles. He's probably, he wasn't driving an electric car, and if he was, he wouldn't have made it because going through the midwestern part of the country. But you look at the fact, 3,500, or we'll say 3,000 miles, right? Average car gets about 20 miles a gallon. That's he's going to need 20 miles a gallon. That's 5 miles for 100. 5 gallons for 100 miles. That's 50 gallons for 1,000. That's 150 gallons of gas. That's if he only drove 3,000 miles, right? Times it by $20. $2, $2.50 a gallon. That's he's up to about $700 for fuel, and then he's got to eat, right? So add another $500, maybe $750 for food, because he was gone for 2 weeks. So now he's close to $1,500. Is he going to sleep in his car? Well, he might, right? But if he didn't, add another $500 for lodging expenses if he just found somewhere cheap. So he's at about $2,000. Where did he get the $2,000, right? Where? Where did he get the revolver? As a non, as okay, I do believe a resident alien cannot own a weapon. If I'm wrong, let me know, right? But so $2,000, he's got a 357 revolver, right? And then he's got to support a wife and 5 sons. And evidently some of his kids were getting kind of old, probably no older than between 12 and 15 years old. So how are they being supported? Because I know government assistance isn't that high. Someone is supplying them with a lot of money to live. Unless we don't know the full story of the government assistance that's being thrown at all these illegals and asylum seekers to live in our country that won't even assimilate to our culture, right? We're not talking about changing their religion because that's their personal choice, but we're talking about the American culture, Americanism, becoming American, not fleeing your country and bringing your country's culture over to our country and changing our country. We're talking about assimilating into the American way of life, right? There are lots of unanswered questions. Now, in this other email that I got here is about the 5,000 Afghan refugees. It says more than 5,000 Afghans brought to the U.S. after American forces withdrew from the country got flagged for national security reasons. Department of Homeland Security obtained by the Post. In all, the feds recovered potential derogatory information on a total of 6,868 people who came from Afghanistan as part of President Biden Operation Allies Welcome in 2021. Of that number, 5,005 came up with a national security concern, while 956 had public safety concerns, and 876 were flagged for fraud, according to the data. They lied about themselves, right? They provided the information. It was provided to Senator Chuck Grassley, chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, after he posed a series of questions to the Department of Homeland Security last year before the change in administration. While various U.S. agencies were able to resolve many of the red flags, as of September, there were still 885, like I said just a few minutes ago, people with potentially negative national security information posing a possible threat. Following Wednesday's shocking ambush of the 2 National Guard members, President Trump ordered a review of security and vetting protocols for immigrants from 19 high-risk countries, along with all asylum cases approved by the prior administration. The starting data comes to light just days after suspect Lukenwald allegedly killed National Guardswoman Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, 20 years old, and left Guardsman Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, 24, hospitalized in critical condition. For years, Grassley has been pressing the FBI and DHS for glaring red signs in the program that brought more than 70,000 Afghans to the U.S. following the botched 2021 troop withdrawal. 70,000, oh my goodness, 70,000 potential security risks legitimately in our country. Kristi Noem provided information on September 9th to the lawmaker, which was Senator Grassley, 3 days after the agency's Inspector General reported it found DHS encountered obstacles to screen, vet, and inspect evacuees. Let's see. There's a lot of space in the article when I printed it off. Fox News gives you the option to print the article. National New York Post, you have to copy it and then print it. Makes it kind of hard and stuff. According to the FBI, the need to immediately evacuate Afghans overtook the normal processes required to determine whether individuals attempting to enter the United States pose a threat to national security. So the need to evacuate them superseded the need to protect the United States. No wonder Christopher Wray resigned, because he would have immediately been fired by President Trump as soon as he took office. Which increased the risk bad actors could try to exploit the expedited evacuation. No duh. I'd say go try to read this. Got a lot of information here. I still got one more. The president in stopping the White House press briefing in just a second. Okay, came from President Trump. Immigration Nationality Act, Section 212F. Whenever the president finds that entry of any aliens or any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may, by proclamation, and for such a period as he shall deem necessary, not the Congress, he deem necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of aliens the restrictions he may deem to be appropriate. So he stopped all immigration, especially for asylum seekers, until everything can be figured out, which is crazy. And then, after all that transpired, then we found out the day prior to that, which would be last Tuesday, 2 days before Thanksgiving, in my hometown of Fort Worth, there was the Afghani arrested for threatening to bomb a building in Fort Worth, Texas, and he made a video on TikTok, and another Afghani, this guy's from Afghanistan, turned him in. Okay, he also came to the United States unvetted in 2021 also. So this came from the Deputy Secretary of DHS, Tricia McLaughlin. Just 1 day before the terrorist attack against our National Guard, another Afghan national who was paroled into the United States under Biden's under President Otto Pinn's Operation Allies Welcome, was arrested for threatening to blow up a building in Fort Worth. Mohammed Dawood Ozalski posted a video of himself on TikTok indicating he was building a bomb with the intended target of the Fort Worth area. He was arrested on Tuesday by the Texas Department of Public Safety and the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, and charged with making terroristic threats. And now he's got a detainer on him. 4 years too late. That guy was going to blow up a building in my hometown. Probably someone I grew up with or knew of, probably would have been hurt or killed if he would have been able to carry on his threat. Really. This is what the previous 4 years did to our country. Whether it be illegal aliens crossing from the Rio Grande area all the way to California, or being flown in, or the app, whatever they call it and stuff, where they can make reservations as illegal aliens, and the U.S. will bring them in and settle them all over the United States, where we have illegal aliens all over the place, and people are throwing massive hissy fits because ICE is running over and apprehending people all over the place, and people can't understand. About a quarter of all the illegal aliens live in my home state, and they arrested like 3,500 in the Houston area alone. I mean, we're saturated down here, and we need to get them all out. And there's more than just Latinos, because there's nothing wrong with Latinos. My brother married one. Man, they're awesome people, very loyal people, very respectable people. But we have laws in our country that need to be respected. And when you come to our country, you need to come the legal way, and you need to come prepared to assimilate, right? But yeah, this guy, I mean, it's crazy that stuff like this happens, right? But there was, so in the last 4 years, 70,000, as we just read a while ago, 70,000 Afghanis were flown into the United States. 50 states, that's 12,000 Afghans per state. Somewhere did I get that right? Something like that. I'm having a hard time with all this math. Okay, it's one of those days. At least I can remember the number 32. That's all that matters. All right, so we'll get on to the rest of the news, because this is, I'm telling you, we need change in the amnesty system. We need to do away with a lot of stuff. Before we get to the next one, I'll tell right now, a federal appeals court in New Jersey ruled that Alina Habba was illegally appointed twice as the interim U.S. attorney in, I believe, the Northern District of New Jersey. I think it is. So this should be appealed to the Supreme Court. And hopefully, you know what? Two good things could come out of this. Either they can rule that the blue slip process that's used by the Senate is unconstitutional, right? Or the president can go ahead and say, no, not the president, Senator John Thune can go ahead and say, be done with the blue slips, and have a vote in the Senate and be done with it, and it's gone. Because it's not, I mean, I've read through the Constitution before and in the Federalist Papers, and I didn't see nothing about no blue slips in there. Need to be gone. It's the president's prerogative to appoint all of his attorneys and judges the way he sees fit. So do what, if you didn't know what the blue slip was it's like a piece of paper in a file for nominees and stuff, right? For judicial nominees. And if a U.S. senator doesn't like a nominee, he can pull out his blue slip and says, I object to this person coming into my state, and for all intents and purposes, the nomination's dead. Regardless if they're a Democrat or Republican appointee, they pull it. So what happened in New Jersey, both U.S. senators, Cory Booker, and I think his name is Kim, Senator Kim, both used their blue slips to prevent her name from going forward to be confirmed as U.S. attorney. So Senator Thune, South Dakota, needs to just do away with the blue slip process, flat out. Okay, that was one of my things. I heard about it about 8:30 this morning that I added on there. All right, next is Tennessee. Tennessee's got a major election tomorrow. You may say, what major election do we got going on? Well, we have 435 members of Congress. Mark Green was in that congressional district, the 7th congressional district of Tennessee. He quit flat out. I don't buy the argument, well, I got a better job offer in the private sector. Dude, you spent less than 1 year of your reelected term in the U.S. House. We spent money on your election, and you're going to quit in mid-stride. Honestly, I do believe if there's any money left in his campaign account, all of it should go to pay the costs of all those polling places for the cost of the election. Flat out. I think that would be a very awesome law to make to keep people from actually resigning their office, like Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to do on January 6th, one day after she's eligible for congressional retirement, which that needs to be negated also. There is no need for a public servant to get a congressional pension. I served on a city council and on a college board. You know what? I'm not getting no retirement from them, so why would a congressional person be able to get something like that, right? Let's see. Oh, yeah. So that being said, this is my next one I wanted to talk about, is in Nashville. I'll read Truth Social first, then I'll go into the article, right? So let me transition over from President Trump to the people, to the great people of the Tennessee's 7th District, who gave me a record-setting wins in each of 3 elections. I'm asking you to get out and vote for Matt Van Epps. He will be a great congressman, and unlike his opponent, he cherished Christianity and country music. She hates them both. This is a pivotal election. The whole world is watching. Make America great again. And he's right. Matt Van Epps is a decorated helicopter pilot from the United States Army. He went to West Point, right? And I believe he was in Iraq and Afghanistan, I think. I know he was in Afghanistan. So she is, let's put it like this, Miss Bien, she said she hates Nashville. She hates country music. She hates these pedal bars or whatever, bachelorette parties. Why would she want to represent the people in Central Tennessee in the United States House of Representatives unless she has alternative motives like supporting the liberal wing of the Democrat Party, right? Which is probably true. So, that being said, tomorrow, if you did not vote an early vote and you live in the 7th District of Tennessee, you need to go to a polling place and vote for Mr. Van Epps and get him into Congress and help the Republicans in the House maintain their majority. There's no excuse for that, for not voting. You have to do this, right? So in FoxNews.com, it says, this was published last night. It said, we'll know Wednesday morning if a special election in Tennessee is truly a referendum on country music, pedal taverns, oh, that was the word I was looking for, and bachelorettes. Nothing wrong with bachelorettes. I married one. Breaking news. Hold on. White House holds briefing as Trump readies high-stakes Venezuela meeting. Okay. That was the breaking news. Or if we can divine a deeper political meaning for the results of a special election. Democrat Afghan Mien, some name there, is trying to tip the scales in favor of her party in a district which President Trump carried by about 20 points and former Representative Mark Green, Tennessee, won by a similar percentage last fall and then quit. Bien faces GOP Matt Van Epps, Republican district, but political observers are watching this race to gauge potential weakness by President Trump, a softness in the Trump coalition, issues with the Republican brand, or any indications of a possible blue wave in the 2026 midterms. What they did just now was turn over every leaf possible to drive disillusionment toward the Republicans. That's exactly. Depending on who you ask, the race, it was Bien who proclaimed that she had whored Nashville 7 years ago. I hate bachelorettes. I hate pedal taverns. I hate country music. I hate all things Nashville. Apparently, and It City complained Bien. About all Bien left out was her animus toward Music City for dissing the Grand Ole Opry, which just celebrated Friday their 100th anniversary, right? So if she had her way, it probably wouldn't even exist. It wouldn't have made it to 100, but it did, and that's a hallmark of Nashville, right? That's why you should continue to vote for the Republican, even though most, and she probably doesn't know this, most entertainers in country music are Democrats in the first place. So I don't know why she doesn't like country music. She'd probably fit right in with them. Let's see. Bien is characterized as AOC of Tennessee. I'm not going to read the rest of that. Republicans believe Bien is just a bad fit for Nashville, kind of like having Bad Bunny perform at Ryman Auditorium. It shouldn't even be close, but it is, Congressman Burchett said on Fox. We'll find out Wednesday morning or late tomorrow night. It should be a Republican win, but it might be close because, this is the week right after Thanksgiving. People gearing up toward Christmas, and the last thing they want to think about is going to vote, right? So Republicans are pouring money in, like over $1 million, and so did the Democrats. But what else? There's one thing else I wanted to tell y'all that I read. I don't see it in here. Well, she was talking about this one thing she said in 2020, good morning to everyone, especially to those that think burning down a police precinct is a cool thing to do. I don't have the exact quote, that's a paraphrase, but she did say that in 2020. If you live in the Nashville area and you live in the 7th Tennessee congressional district, it is your duty to go vote tomorrow for the Republican. Save Tennessee from itself. Send her walking. Hopefully, she had to resign from her state Senate seat or a state representative seat to be able to run for this election. I hope. So she'll be totally out of politics. Vote Matt Van Epps, Tennessee, tomorrow for Congress. Do it. Do it now, right? Or wait till tomorrow. Let's see. The next thing was I saw an article and I saw it on TV. Yesterday morning, someone asked Senator Mark Kelly would he refuse presidential orders, and he was quoted because he had 39 combat missions in the first Gulf War, and he sunk 2 boats. Right. I don't know what kind of boats they were, but he sunk 2 boats. And he said, quoted, "Never once did I question whether the orders were legal or illegal." So he never questioned his orders, but he's telling military officers to now question military orders. Does not make sense. I really do think they're not playing around and trying to just embarrass him, but actually prosecute him. I hope this Article 32 hearing goes forward and he's recalled to active duty, and not to go to jail, because if you are a veteran or an active duty, you know that the prosecution will throw a bone to people being court-martialed. And if it's like a non-violent thing or something, they could say, hey, take this Chapter 10 in lieu of court-martial. It won't disqualify him from staying in the Senate. He can finish his time because a court-martial is a felony. So if he takes the court-martial and is convicted, I don't believe he's eligible to run for office. But if he takes the Chapter 10, he's separated under the Uniform Code of Military Justice under Chapter 10, which basically is an administrative discharge. He'll lose his federal retirement from the Navy and his benefits from TRICARE, I guess. But it'll save him from going to jail, right? And it'll probably keep him in the Senate. It's his decision. Well, it's the Navy's decision also. And probably the SecDef also. So next thing is, we'll go with, I'm going to do this last one because we're running out of time. We're at 42 minutes already. Don't forget, when I'm getting this ready here, please click that follow button and give us a like on the page. Help me get my followers up. I would like to be able to get over 100 as soon as I can. And please follow and like, please. All right. So in North Carolina, a federal court panel, 3 judges, they voted to allow North Carolina to proceed with Senate Bill 249 to increase the redistricting toward being favorable to Republicans. It'll increase the Republican representation. All right. So if you live in North Carolina, make sure you look at the new districts that are going to be implemented, because there'll be more Republicans available. It should help President Trump on the midterms, right? And then the caveat with that, evidently President got intervened into Indiana on their matter, which would, if they redistrict in Indiana, it would do. Give me a second here. Let me find it. I thought I did it on Wednesday, so I guess it was Tuesday. Hold on just a second here. Indiana. I don't see it. Maybe it's something I read and I didn't put put it in the podcast. Yeah, well, okay, we'll get around. In Indiana, the Republican-controlled Indiana House returns to session today to take action on congressional redistricting pushed by President Trump. And the GOP-dominated state Senate, in a major reversal, will convene in 1 week to make a final decision on any redistricting proposals sent from the House. The proposed new map would create another GOP-leaning congressional district in a solidly Republican Midwestern state. Indiana is the latest battlefield in a high-stakes redistricting showdown, pitting Trump and Republicans versus Democrats to shape the midterms as GOP defends its razor-thin House majority. State House Speaker Todd Hudson announced last week that the House Republicans will gavel in on December 1st, reconvening the 2026 regular session. All legislative business will be considered beginning next week, including withdrawing the state's congressional map. Despite pressure from Trump and his political team, Roderick Bray, the Republican leader in the Indiana Senate, announced 2 weeks ago that there was not enough support in the chamber to move forward with redistricting. Trump, in response, repeatedly threatened to back primary challenges against state Republican lawmakers who did not support his congressional redistricting push. A Rhino State Senator, Roderick Bray, who doesn't care about keeping the majority in the House in D.C., is the primary problem. Soon he will have a primary problem and any politician who supports him in this stupidity. Trump warned in a recent... Hold on just a second. Okay. President Trump, Bray confirmed in a statement last week that the state would return into session to take action on whatever redistricting proposal passes the House. The issue of redrawing Indiana's congressional maps mid-cycle has received a lot of attention and is causing strife here in our state. To resolve this issue, the state intends to reconvene as part of the 26th session on December 8th. Republicans currently control 7 of Indiana's 9 congressional districts, and any new map passed by the GOP supermajority in the legislature would likely shift the first congressional district from blue-leaning to red-leaning. Trump has been twisting elbows, should be twisting arms, at this attempt to make Indiana the latest Republican-controlled state to change the congressional maps. And then, is there anything else in here? So what it looks like is North Carolina got approved. Indiana is going to get approved. Texas should be getting approved. I don't know what's going on in California, but they have a problem with the way they did theirs. So we may get more than what we were expecting. And it says here Virginia, Maryland, and Illinois are trying the same thing, but I don't think they'll be able to do anything else. Republicans should be supporting the president flat out, right? They should be, but sometimes we got Republicans that act like Democrats. Remember what Dan Bongino said? Most Republicans are Democrats, and no Democrats are Republicans, which is totally true. There's only a few, like me, solid Republicans that think and act and talk like a Republican. I don't care what people say. That's the way it is. Eric Daugherty on X said Kash Patel is going to expose all documents from the Russia hoax that were in the burn bags will be made public. He said that on some show yesterday. And it wasn't even part of the conversation we had. He just changed the subject and brought that out. Pretty neat. Okay. Letitia James has a bar complaint filed against her in New York for professional misconduct by the Center to Advance Security in America for her mortgage problems she has down in Virginia. So, and they said that some other firm may be launching another bar complaint against her also. So she may have a problem keeping her law license after all this is said and done. She's still ain't out of legal problems. So that'll be taken care of also. So let's see, do I have anything on my main stuff? Tim Waltz, I saw this earlier this morning. Tim Waltz has been implicated in covering up the Somalia fraud funding that I told y'all about on Wednesday, about how there was a funding group that was receiving tens of millions of dollars for treating Somali kids that may have autism. But it turns out the diagnoses were false, and they were using the money and sending it back to Somalia to Al-Shabaab terrorist group. Well, now that money has been elevated to close to $1 billion, and people are complaining because they said allegedly that Tim Walz threatened to fire them or censor them if they even brought up the subject about where the money was going. And he put some lame brain excuse where he couldn't do nothing because he was only the governor of the state. He said that today. That was one of my other things I wanted to bring up. So, and then primary filing here in Texas is still ongoing through the 8th of December, right? And I want to bring up one thing since that's up. There's this one guy named Doc that's a Republican. He's a veteran. He's a combat veteran. And I strongly support veterans running for office unless they're misguided, right? Well, this one guy, his name is Doc, he's running in the Republican primary against Governor Abbott, put a Facebook post up. This guy's campaign manager should be fired and exiled to New York. Okay, let's put it like that. This guy put a picture of him and circled his medals on him, and had a picture of Greg Abbott and circled his medals, which he doesn't have any because he's not a veteran. And if you don't know who Greg Abbott is, he's the governor of the state of Texas. He's confined to a wheelchair since his early 20s because when he was out running, a tree fell on him. So he had no opportunity even to serve his country, even if he wanted to. And this veteran is determining that since he's a combat veteran and Greg Abbott chose not to serve his country, he's a better candidate, in which Greg Abbott, he's not the perfect guy. I like him and I plan on voting for him. But why would you bring out that kind of... There's plenty of other things you could talk about. But the saying about a disabled person didn't serve the country, that's just stupid. And that other guy, Doc, whatever, I can't think of his name, but his campaign manager should be fired, right? Should be. And I didn't even have that in my notes to talk about that. Wish I had his name. And then Saturday after Thanksgiving, perfect weather, we went to Killeen to the Wreath for Vets. You have wreaths across America, and you got wreaths for vets. Wreaths for Vets are only here in at the Central Texas Veteran Cemetery, and we put wreaths at all the 17,500 people buried out here. Retired 4-star General Paul Funk, he was a keynote speaker. We had Gold Star spouses behind them. I forgot who this lady is, but she spoke for Miss Shine, right? And then this is for people that are cremated. And there's another section of them also. And they're about to build some more, right? People gathering to be able to get started in it. Getting all the wreaths ready. They had lines of these. They had over 17,000 wreaths out there ready to distribute all over the cemetery. There's a selfie. Go up one. There's a selfie right here of Joey, Raymond Hamden, Chuck Brashear, Stephanie Brashear, and myself, all standing in the rain, getting ready to get the ceremony started and go out and put the wreaths out for all the servicemen and their spouses. And then this is Captain Norman, one of my best friends that died in Iraq in 2008, before the wreath, and I got to actually put the wreath out this time. His mother passed away like 3 years ago, so I'll make sure I go out there and pay my respects every year. All right. So that is the JP8 report for the day. If you want to find me on my social, I'm on X at James Pierce Jr. I'm live on there too. I'm live on Facebook at James A. Pierce Jr. I want to be live on YouTube or ScrewTube at the JP8 Report 67. If you can jot that number down, go to YouTube, find my page, and subscribe and bail from it. All right. And then I'm on Truth Social, and you can send me an email at jp8report@gmail.com. I look at that email almost every single day. And before I let y'all go, do not forget to click follow to follow the JP8 Report if you're listening live or if you're going to watch on demand, right? And please give us a thumbs up by clicking like, and please share. All right. I will be back the rest of this week at noon, just like today. Same bat time, same back channel. All right. And I don't know how the rest of the news is coming up. They're still doing the press briefing at the White House. My studio still isn't fully set up yet. We got the desk together. We got the entertainment center put in there so we can set up the monitor on the wall, because I'm going to do away with my green screen and have a static display back there, because if you can see me moving my hand around, we want to eliminate that. But we still got work to do and stuff in there, so it may be a couple more weeks, getting closer. But so don't forget, follow, like, share, right? So this is James Pierce with the JP8 Report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.